on SmackDown. Did you know night of that he was going to be there?
No, I didn't. I think I read it online. Um, and I didn't watch it until, oh gosh, I think I saw a clip of it and then I didn't watch it till today, to be honest.
Wow.
And
I didn't even
do you
know
want to,
until yesterday.
do you want to just like start with that, honestly? Because
Sure.
that is the
We're talking
most,
about The Rock, by the way, if you missed it. On this. I went online yesterday to WWE.com to see what was on Raw last night, and there was just a declaration that The Rock was going to see Cody Rhodes at Elimination Chamber to see if he'll be his champion. And I took a
hmm
photo and I sent it to Jesse. I'm just like, what is this? Like, this is a new angle that they're doing. I don't understand it at all. And then you started talking to me about how he was at the post SmackDown press conference. And I was just
yeah.
like, wait a minute, The Rock is on SmackDown? This all goes back to Bleacher Report, the app, the worst update in the history of updates. I had to delete the app from my phone, so I no longer get the insider WWE information. So I didn't even know I went all weekend and I could have seen that. I watched No Way Out 2002 and 2003, parts of both of them, when I could have been watching The Rock.
Oh man, and that was a long segment. It was a segment like half an hour almost.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Um, but okay, let's start there because um, I overall loved it. I thought it was an amazing segment. I thought it was some of the so since we've started doing this podcast, that is the most interesting segment I've seen them produce.
The Rock and Cody?
Yeah, and initially I wasn't like so The Rock came out and announced, WrestleMania being in New Orleans. And I'm like, oh great. It's another uh board member face rock announcement segment. And then he brought out well actually before that, well he was singing like the Saints go marching in and telling the fans oh gosh, what did he say? Just basically teasing the fans. One of the things he said was shut your mouth, I'll slap the syphilis right off your face, to a fan who was yelling. He was saying other things about New Orleans being infested with STDs. I thought it was all hilarious. And I also found it, at first, I was totally turned off with how he was going from face to heel. It kind of seemed like he was in character, out of character, in character, out of character. But then I started to get it. And then I started to see like where this was going. So those are my high level thoughts. We can get into the details on it, but overall, I was super happy with this segment.
You started to get what?
I started to get where he was taking his character. So he's doing these
Hmm.
announcements, and then he's doing the board member thing. And then he's like kind of like just teasing all this like you know, heel and face stuff, playing up the crowd, taking them down, like giving them something, then taking it away. Giving them something, then taking it away. And it actually helped make him like at the end of it, I don't think there was anybody really cheering for The Rock. When he comes out, it's exciting. It's The Rock, like one of Hollywood's biggest superstars. And then you're he's just doing so many like turns throughout that segment, so many I guess like making the audience feel kind of stupid in a way, in a good way. That I think they just hated him at the end of it, and I think he did a great job, great heel work there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start on a more positive note. I think as the podcast goes along, I'll probably be more positioned as the negative side, and you'll be positioned as the more positive side. So I'll start with a positive note on all of this. I'm intrigued by what might take place at the Elimination Chamber between them, but I'm also wondering, 'cause I'm getting served a lot of ads for Elimination Chamber tickets because I live 3 hours outside of Toronto, and I'm seeing it all over the screens and everything, and all over the program as well. Like it's in Rogers Center, which is the Sky Dome, I'm just wondering if maybe they had trouble maybe moving as many tickets as they thought they could, that wasn't necessarily a stadium level show, that maybe they got a little full of themselves, that they can just put any sort of show on, and slapping together something with The Rock last minute is going to maybe increase sales. I'm not sure, but like I guess it's creating a level of intrigue for me that otherwise wasn't there before. And so like when I'm talking about the positive things, I'm wondering like maybe this is the sorry, maybe this is the hype that you were talking about that was missing last week going into the elimination chamber. It just
Hmm.
seems so strange and out of place because now all of a sudden it's this brand new feud 8 days in advance of the chamber, and now it's like the biggest thing that they have on the pay-per-view, basically.
It's not a feud, but like, and I also don't, I just can't see them slapping that together last minute. Rock dropping all his plans and being like, all right, I have to go to,
Seemingly slapped together last minute. The way with
yeah.
which they're promoting the show, pretending that it's a fight card that we're going to see at least.
Hmm.
You don't just announce there'll be a Conor McGregor in-ring sit-down interview at a UFC event 8 days before it takes place. It's usually like, not that they do that, but you know what I mean. The same thing. It's like
Yeah.
it's more planned.
Yeah, I think that this had to be planned just due to Rock's schedule. He wouldn't drop things and go to Toronto. But you know what? You touched on something there, this being the most interesting thing at Elimination Chamber. That's telling that of the build for the actual chamber match. Like that this is what I actually want to tune in and see at Elimination Chamber. A segment where Cody comes out in a suit and tie and basically says, "No, I'm not going to be your champion, Rock," and they get mad at each other. That's what I actually want to see now, not the Elimination Chamber match. That's wild. Build the
Yeah.
Elimination Chamber match. Come on. That's like, yeah.
Listening to you talk about that though, when you just said that, like you're just like, I want to, why would The Rock drop everything and come to Toronto? And I'm really excited too. And if I was still there, I'd be there. I'm really excited to see how the crowd reacts to him because like there's been callbacks before. It's so rare, but like The Rock, and I remember the promo specifically a year later because it's here in Toronto where it all started, where the people turned on the people's champion. WrestleMania 18, when we just booed The Rock out of the building. And
Mhm.
so, like, I think the Toronto crowd is going to roast him, boo him from the second he comes out. And I really hope that there's not that big initial pop and that it's more just like electric heat against him. Now, getting back to the actual segment itself, I thought the promo wasn't good, and his exchange with Cody also wasn't good. Um, I mean, like I said, I'm intrigued by it, but this method that they have of storytelling, this is a huge callback again as to why I hated the January 6th episode of Raw on Netflix so badly. But like, I want to get back on board with this, but like, I feel like it's been ruined. Like all of a sudden, he's back now and he's a heel, which is like bizarre. But and it's like he's enjoying being a heel. Like he's like egging the fans on. Like it's like it's not an open mic night. Like at least that's not how I don't like to look at it. Um, and so so he went from being like super happy rock, or we're coming back to New Orleans, to then just I remember it. It was just all of a sudden there's no more sing along with the Rock. And so he was just out of nowhere for no reason, suddenly a bad guy. And so like it's all right, but like this constant flopping and like it's taking me I'm getting unimmersed in the story. Like I can't help but think about that while I'm watching it, and it's very frustrating as a viewer, to do that. It's like going to the bathroom in the middle of a horror movie and watching a video of the actor playing the bad guy, like giving gifts to children. Like it's just a juxtaposition you don't do. This is the character he's playing on this show. This is how he should be perceived. So I don't know exactly what's going on. You liked the segment. I am intrigued by what might come out of it. I personally didn't like the segment so much. I thought it was long and boring. I think The Rock is boring. He never stops talking, but he never says anything. And I don't entirely know what's going on right now. And another point before I turn it back to you, I feel like this whole build, like there's been not there's no excitement for WrestleMania like at all. And I think it's because of what you said last week was resonating with me, but there's no build to the chamber. The idea of the chamber and the idea of the Rumble themselves, they stop feuds from happening until those things are decided. So it's like there's no feuds right now. And then all of a sudden, next week at this time, there'll be 8 feuds. And so like I'm looking forward to next week at this time, and I'm not really enjoying this period of time overall. A lot of mixed thoughts there, but like that's just where my head is at. Like I thought it kind of sucked.
Well, you're right about one thing. Maybe they would do themselves as like a service if they actually dropped the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, and just went back to either No Way Out, uh, or
No way
some sort
out.
of special event, like just regular matches. Figure even like have a number one contenders storyline like they used to do. That would make the build for WrestleMania just that much more interesting. You're right though, there is like a pause. And the pause is okay for the Rumble because you have January until April now to build that.
Hmm.
That's great. So they're doing a good job building the Gunther and Jay feud. But that other belt that doesn't get chosen is just at the mercy of the chamber and then limited build time. Well, maybe not even, who knows? Like, not that limited, I guess. Like, you still have a month and a half before WrestleMania hits at that point, but there's no tease of anything. And at the very least, I mean, at the very least, build some feuds in the chamber going into it. They just have one that I see, right? One, and then one sort of dead in the water feud. I mean, they have the CM Punk Logan Paul angle, and then they have, some history with CM Punk and Seth Rollins, and I don't know, that chamber match just seems boring. But back to the
Well,
Rock segment. Oh, sorry, go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, I'm just gonna say I'll break it down for you like this simply, because like I think that like in a certain terms I'm not the voice and I'm the mind of the voiceless. The way that like I think a lot of people think the same way that I'm thinking about it. And simply put, The Rock came back on January 6th, Netflix. He ruined, they ruined the feud that he had with both Cody and with Roman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now it seems like maybe they're trying to resurrect it and it's kind of on life support and it's possible that they can do it. But I'm telling you right now, if The Rock isn't going to wrestle at WrestleMania, this is a huge, huge waste of time. And it's a massive disappointment. I don't want to see Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre with The Rock in Drew's corner. Like, no, it's just not necessary. So either he's going to have a match or he's not. Like, did you see that afterwards? He said that, well, you don't. What I can't remember the exact quote. Like, you don't have to be. Like, doesn't the conflicts no longer have to be resolved with a match in modern wrestling? Is what he said. It's like, what does that even mean? Yes, of course it does. What, you're going to get resolved on Jericho's highlight reel? Like, what?
Well, yeah. I think there's one part I might agree with you on, and that is The Rock coming out doing these segments. So he came back at Bad Blood to raise a People's Championship that we've never seen again, or some belt. I think it was a People's Championship belt.
I think he brought it out on Raw on Netflix. Yeah, Muhammad Ali's wife supposedly gave to him.
Okay, and then now it's
Now
not
it's
here
gone.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Who cares about that belt, I guess. But yeah, then so there's the Bad Blood, then there's the Netflix premiere, and did they have to use The Rock there? Uh, I guess like maybe they wanted to build the star power for that show, but you're right, it maybe took away from things. Now I see him coming out here and he's doing the board member thing again at the beginning.
Which I
Um,
like.
which
Nobody's more powerful than The Rock. I like that story.
Well, he's coming out doing like the hype for the New Orleans WrestleMania. which is great. He's a good hype man for that. I see why they would use him. But it's almost like he has two characters. He's got the real Rock that works for the board, and then he's got the final boss character. And the board Rock, he likes to amp up the audience and get them behind new things happening. Hey, we're premiering on Netflix. Hey, New Orleans is going to be hosting WrestleMania 42. He's like announcement Rock. And
Hmm.
then now you have him in this promo trying to like bring it back to the final boss character. Um,
Almost like the people. Are you saying that it's like, and which it could be interesting. I could see them like figuring this out. Are you saying it's kind of like, well, the board they don't watch the shows. So when the board's around, The Rock behaves like this. And there's Ari Emanuel, who we mentioned. When Ari was around and Nick Khan, when those guys are around, The Rock behaves a certain way. But then when teacher's gone, this is The Rock's classroom, basically.
I
I kind
kind
of like that, but they have to do a better job of establishing that because if he's just going to come in and out every 6 to 8, 12 weeks, and you don't really know what version of him you're getting, depending on what their goals are, it's confusing.
well, he went in and out 6 or 7 times in this one segment between like different characters because you see him like telling the audience to shut up or whatever, and then cracking a smile and joking about it. Um, and at first in this segment, I was like, "Oh, this sucks. This is um, I don't think this is the great way to use The Rock." But as he, I don't know, kept going back and forth, it started intriguing me a bit more and actually liking the segment. Like I said at the top of this, I think this was the most interesting segment I've watched since we've started doing this podcast.
Well, I
Um,
mean, I watched it because he was on it and we're talking about it. So, I mean, it certainly beats whatever the hell else was on SmackDown, which I watched zero of.
and I know this probably it's hard to tell if this is actually going to lead into a match or not. But
It
I
better. It honestly, it better, man. I've been
but
wanting
I
to see Cody Rhodes versus The Rock, and I've been wanting to see Roman versus Rock so badly for like a year that anything else is just not going to do.
I love that that sort of the little bit of a swerve at the end where he the Rock's pointing towards the belt and he's saying, I want that. And then Cody is saying, all this is you're doing all this because you want the belt. And then The Rock obviously saying, I want your soul at the end of it. I loved how the crowd just had a visceral reaction to that, a very natural reaction. And from that moment on, they hated The Rock. And I thought Cody's acting throughout this whole segment, even like the stuttering, the pausing, the thinking about things, all of that being it was deliberate. He acted perfectly in this. Um, I thought that was awesome. I think he did a great job. I thought The Rock's lines in promo were great. I thought the way he was um, getting to this end point was fantastic. Um, I love it that at the end they didn't even play his outro music or anything. All you heard were people booing and like almost disgusted with him that he asked for his soul. And of course you hear some people chanting, "Sell your soul, sell your soul."
Hmm.
But segment was like it was the best produced segment I've seen that from them in ages. And yeah, the hard part here is does this lead to a match? And if it doesn't, where do they take this? I kind of I I don't think they're going to do a match. And I mean, we could almost confirm it by looking at the Rock's filming schedule if we really wanted to. Like if he's got
What do
stuff
you
in the
mean? He's
works,
going to be at WrestleMania,
he's
at
going to be at
least
Wrestle
in character. Like he's got to be
100%.
there.
He
You
will
mean he's
be
not in
there.
shape for a match?
No, no, like filming schedule. So if he has a film that he's doing in like a month after WrestleMania, he can't compete. He can't get insured for that film. He can't be doing like a wrestling match without enough time, between. There has to be enough time between him wrestling and filming that if an injury did happen, he'd be fine for filming.
Where do you get this information?
That's just common. I don't know if it's common knowledge, but yeah, you have to be insured for acting on a film, and that means like you can't if you do certain things before filming that invalidates the insurance.
Yeah, I don't know. Um, Either way, I'm somewhat intrigued, like I told you before, and then we can move on to Raw. That like I've been disappointed in this build to WrestleMania, and I'll talk more about that about when we do a Raw review here. But this actually, even though I didn't like care for the segment overall, uh, well, it's not that I didn't care for the segment. To be clear, I don't like this new like I like everything that they've done since Vince left has been really good, but I don't like the element of it where there's some inconsistencies in their major storylines that they're willing to just wash away because this is just wrestling now. Whereas it
Right.
didn't seem like it was like that in the past. So it's not that I hated the segment so much as I was just like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, this is getting weird. I can only complain to my girlfriend so many times about watching The Rock and then keep watching him. So, like, is it going to be good? Is it not going to be good? What direction are you going? Like, make up your mind. That's why I'm so excited for all this crap to be done with. Like, I can't wait for the Elimination Chamber to be over so we can just focus on building some feuds towards a pay-per-view so we can actually get into watching Raw again, which I think is a good transition
Mhm.
over. And I'll start with my major thoughts on it. And I mean, I don't think you're gonna like them. I thought that it was
Oh,
slow.
can I just can I just say one thing about the Raw opening?
Of course.
What's how like everybody's walking into the arena with empty cups of coffee, and then I don't know if you noticed this, but Cody had like five like empty cups stacked together. It's like he was collecting garbage and then just pretended to drink out of it. I thought it was hilarious. Like just
I
watching
didn't
everybody
notice that. No.
walk into the arena. They all have like cups of coffee, and then Cody. It's like they're playing a rib on each other and like all like one upping each other, and Cody just has like five coffees stacked together when he's like walking to the arena. Pretty hilarious stuff.
I did not notice that. I do notice on TV shows though when they're drinking coffee and there's no coffee in the coffee mug, and I don't care for it.
Sorry.
No, I thought that it was slow. I thought that it was boring. Once
The whole
again,
Raw?
yeah, the whole Raw. Yeah, I thought it sucked. Um, and it's just started out on such a negative note. Like I was excited to watch it. I turned it on around 9 my time, so there was an hour in, so I had some fast forward time. And that it immediately just started plugging what was on for the night, and there was just nothing at all that was exciting. They announced that the women's tag team title match was the main event of Raw, heading into the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, which was super confusing. Um, they were like, "Oh well, Gunther is here live," and Gunther interacted with the Alpha Academy. I was like, "Well, Gunther's here every week, so is this what he's going to be doing?" And then Dakota Kai versus Bailey, and then for some strange reason, Cody Rhodes is here. The Rock decided to confront him on SmackDown, but now he's coming to Raw, which isn't his show. So I was just like, I don't understand what this episode of Raw is. Like, I was just like, I don't understand what they're building towards. No one's spot in the chamber is on the line. I don't understand any of the stories that are going on. And so I was just immediately just like turned off. I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to be watching um, in this episode, but I think it's going to be very little.
Yeah, well, I think we're gonna agree here because I wasn't a huge fan of this episode of Raw either. Um, I mean, it's yeah, I don't know, it's telling when I write down some a note to talk about is the coffee cups at the entrance.
Yeah, I didn't
That's
even
how good
notice
this
that.
that's how good this episode was. I was starving for content. Um, but yeah, I mean, I wasn't interested in any of the matches going into this. Um, gosh, and I think it was Tyra Valkyrie versus Dakota Kai. I don't think Bailey. Yeah, Bailey wasn't in there.
Oh, okay, my bad.
I mean, we can go through it, man. Like the
Yeah, yeah, I got
Logan
notes.
Punk.
Yeah, I watched that
Okay,
whole
and
thing.
Logan Punk opening, and I just want to say that I think Logan Paul is a terrible promo for someone that talks so much, has a podcast, who was a YouTuber in the public eye. Um, Even as a heel, I just don't think he has any even a heel connection with the audience.
He's super
That's
green, dude. He's a mark.
oh God, yeah, like the promos. If you look at like Cody, his acting live versus Logan Paul, it's completely night and day. I mean, you could say that about most of the roster and Logan Paul. I just don't think he's a good promo. And I don't know, maybe Punk likes him behind the scenes and he's trying to help him along here. Um, but it's not working for me.
Yeah, it's not working for me either, brother. I noticed a couple of things though, again, and maybe I'm too particular, and please tell me if I am. But I noticed like even just like on his way to the ring, cause I'm starting to get really like zoned in on Pat McAfee as an announcer. And so McAfee is like firmly behind Logan Paul. So McAfee is a
Is
fan
he?
of
Yeah.
yeah, if you go
Yeah.
back and listen to it, he's firmly behind him. All of these things, how he's famous, how he's great, all these different things, which is directly contradicts all the baby faces that he cheers for. So I'm trying
Mhm.
to understand what his vibe is, and like the Pat McAfee's vibe is kind of like what I was trying to summarize and what we are talking about before is what I don't like about the show. Feel like you need to have more consistency. Um,
Well, it's a
and then
values thing, right? If you value certain characters and qualities of someone, like the old heel announcer from back in the day, they would value qualities of a heel and they would like all the heels. But if you're, I like this guy and I like this guy, but they have completely different philosophies on how they work. One's a babyface, one's a heel. You're right. It takes it. I don't know. Just there's no consistency.
that only works if you're a
Yeah.
fan. Like I'm
Yeah.
allowed to like Logan Paul and Jay Uso. Like the commentators aren't.
Right.
Either you are think that they are a good performer or you don't. Now that being said, also, and I don't know why it was, but um, Michael Cole was hilarious on Raw. A couple of different times. Did you hear Logan Paul was just like, "Oh, I'm in the elimination chamber with three doorknobs and John Cena." And then
I,
Punk's music hits, and then Michael Cole is like, he forgot one person there, Pat. There's five other participants in the chamber." And I don't know why I just started laughing because I caught it the same thing too. And I was just like,
yeah.
he's like I like that he's full of himself, Logan Paul, and that's great for like a character, but like his material isn't very clever. And I think he's one of these people. This has happened to The Rock in the past, but he's more consistent now. You can't just go out there and talk. You have to have a plan. You have to have like good planned chirps, and you also need to know how to react to the crowd and maybe change your game plan.
Hmm.
Um, and so I just think that like what Punk said about him is true. He's kind of like there for shock value. He's not a generational talent and has very little character substance. But at the same time, like I don't even Punk's character has just been like dead since his feud with Rollins. Like I don't even know what this is supposed to be. He shows up every other week, basically is just in love with the crowd,
Yeah.
never really says anything super cutting and edgy. And so like I thought the segment was okay because it had CM Punk in it, and I guess it was a build to the Elimination Chamber, but just more crap that needs to be done away with so that we can get on to the road to WrestleMania.
I don't think it helped that Logan's promos are so bad. I mean, he's waiting for boos. Like he would say something and then be like, boo. And then 2 seconds later, boos would actually happen. He's just kind of corny to me. I guess you're right about CM Punk. None of this is elevating him or making his character look interesting. But I think that's also like everybody that's involved in the Elimination Chamber is I don't know, man. Like it's all going nowhere for all of them. The Elimination Chamber is like a giant toilet bowl that you're putting all your wrestlers in, and they're just kind of going around the hole, waiting to just go down and get sucked out of it. Um,
This trying to be the last turd in the bowl.
Yeah,
Turd
I don't know.
bowl.
It's a cool match stipulation and type, but it shouldn't be a pay-per-view. And well, they made it a pay-per-view. You should actually build to it. And I guess I don't know, maybe it's because John Cena's not around too. Like he's in the match, believe it or not. We haven't seen him since I don't know when, ages ago. And everybody likes him in the match. Even Logan Paul's like, I'm in there with three doorknobs and John Cena. What does that mean? John Cena's not a doorknob. You like him, so everybody's just gonna
I,
be
I
cool with John
guess.
Cena in the chamber.
I
Yeah,
don't
I don't
know.
know.
I thought like yeah, like I thought that the segment wasn't like it was okay. I don't really get it. Did you see the
What?
slap Punk's mouth?
Yeah.
Was that real blood or like a blood pill? Because he didn't seem like he
Hmm,
hit him that hard. Was they trying to make it seem like it was real?
I don't maybe, but on it like that, just I know Logan Paul's a heel, and he's I guess they're making him into like a chicken shit heel now, a super athletic chicken shit heel. I don't know. Again, that's just not a compelling character thing for me.
Are those two gonna have a match? Is that what they're gonna do with CM Punk?
Oh,
See, because
please
I'm
don't.
worried that they're gonna
Yeah.
ruin his character, man. You know how big of a fan I am. Like now, I like wait every week for his segments, but it's like the reason he gets, I feel like the reason he gets such big chance and why he's so over with the crowd is because like the nature of his character is it's like the modern Stone Cold is like they'll do or say anything. But if you keep putting that person in circumstances where what they do and what they say isn't that provocative or like
Yeah.
that exciting, then like who really cares? Like he didn't say anything that's like he said truths about Logan Paul, but like
Yeah.
nothing like, I don't know. It
He's
just
maybe this is it. Maybe he's almost too much of a company man now. He's like a kind of like, Cody Rhodes is a company man,
Mhm.
but he's a super over babyface and actually works for him. Doesn't work for CM Punk. And we're seeing behind the scenes stuff where he's like friends with Triple H now. He's happy and everybody likes him and likes having him around. And maybe that's doing a disservice to his character as well.
maybe he's lined up for a turn.
Maybe that could be interesting. But yeah, that
What if they
segment.
partnered Punk? What if The Rock helps Punk win the chamber? That's somehow the Heyman
Oh,
favor because The Rock is connected to Roman, and then Punk sells out. He's like, "I'll be your champion, Dwayne."
honestly, so this is what
That would
that's
be pretty cool.
so that's how I was thinking of like how they could make that interesting. How they could make it if The Rock's not going to wrestle, he needs to have someone that if Cody, you're not going to sell your soul, I'm going to sell my soul to The Rock and I'm going to get everything I want. And then that person is like Cody's new villain and like I think CM Punk could fit well into that. That could be super interesting. And if The Rock's not going to wrestle, that could keep the Brandons of the world happy.
I guess. I'm still like also wondering like where Roman is. Is he gonna be at the chamber? What's his feud? I really hope it's got nothing to do with Seth. I'm still holding out hope that somehow Roman, Cody, and Rock will have a triple threat because that's what I really want to see. I was thinking about it earlier. I was like, could they do something where all of a sudden Roman's a last minute insert into the chamber? Like maybe
Hmm.
like Damian Priest just gets attacked or hurt day of the show and they have to find a replacement or something like that. And then all of a sudden Roman's in it and then Roman wins it. But then The Rock is like, no, because Cody turned me down. It's my title shot this year. And we're not doing what we did last year. Anyway, I think we talked enough about The Rock. I thought the segment was okay. Um, Not the highlight of the show. The next thing I watched after all of that, because I know he's your boy, uh, I only watched the entrance because you talked about it so much, but I watched Penta's entrance. Um, did you watch any of Penta?
I can confirm watching his entrance.
Okay. I'm trying to understand what he's doing with his hands and why he's moving like that. He's like, he reminds me of Shinsuke Nakamura. He's kind of like shaking.
It's
Like
just
what?
like that's how he's always been. It's his aura. And that thing that he does with his hands is like his catchphrase. I guess
Yeah,
this is an M. Is that an M? Yeah.
is
So
that what it
zero.
is? Isn't
Yeah.
that yeah. I thought that it was he it just seemed like he was lingering, loitering, if you will, in the fan section for like too long. His entrance is super cool though. I know what you mean, like obviously with the pyro and everything behind it. His mannerisms are a little odd. I think I could get used to them. But then like once again with this Pete Dune guy. I'm just like, what is this?
They're
And I mean,
pushing him nowhere fast.
I don't hate Ludwig Kaiser, but like, I don't really understand what he's doing on his own. Why does he still have Gunther's music? Why is he never with Gunther anymore? And so, like, another segment that's just super confusing me. Pete Dune going nowhere. What's going on with Ludwig Kaiser? And now we got this new guy, Penta, involved. I also fast forwarded. Who won? Do you know?
Well, they've been kind of feuding back and forth. Well, he's Penta's had a couple of matches with Pete, and he had one with Kaiser, and Kaiser and Pete are kind of starting to feud a little bit. Um, and so they kind of made it into a triple threat this week. I honestly hope it's the last of it because uh, if they want to do something with Penta, and I feel like they should because from a business perspective, um, he's got the Mexican fan base behind him, and you have an aging Rey Mysterio, so you should um, bring someone in that's a solid contender, a good character, and I think Penta fits that. He could be a good merch seller. He's got a super cool aura to him.
Hmm.
Um,
I'm not against Penta.
oh no, sir, but yeah, but you're right though. The feuds that they're putting him in, I know they're trying to build him up and put him through the ranks, but can we get past these guys? Cause it's been like 3 or 4 weeks now. Can we
Seems
do
like it's the
something
same
else with
thing
them?
over and over. Yeah. And I feel like they
Yeah,
have so many guys on the roster, but like I never get to see them. And we can talk a
yeah,
bit more about switching through shows, but like there's so many good wrestlers. Like I guess LA Knight's on SmackDown, but like I never get to see, you know what I mean? It's like there's
yeah.
so many guys underneath guys. Like why isn't Penta wrestling Sammy? You
Mhm.
know, like those sort of things. Anyway,
Yeah.
I mean I didn't watch the match. Then
Kaiser won, I think. Like
did he?
Penta had the match won, and then Kaiser pushed him out of the ring and pinned Pete uh, Dune or Dunn or whatever his name is. So that
Interesting.
kind of made Penta look weak, and it was also a very sloppy push out of the ring. It looked horrible. So I don't know, man. I feel like the Penta could, and I don't want to say this, I don't want to jinx it, but I think he could be a flash in the pan here. I think the audience is going to lose interest in him fairly soon, especially with these kind of feuds.
Well, with this modern
Uh,
audience, if you've got a good entrance like Seth, you can just stay relevant permanently.
yeah, maybe, maybe.
Although, so I also watched, I was gonna watch the match until I saw who they were wrestling, but I also watched New Day's entrance as
Ah, yes.
well. Was it just me? Did you watch that, their entrance?
I think I saw a little bit of their entrance. I didn't watch the match either.
The crowd was completely silent. I don't know if they were piping in boos, but like I didn't see any reaction from anybody at all. And then I saw that they were wrestling the LWO, I guess, in Rey Mysterio. I was just like, what is this? Like,
Yeah.
can they like? I would at least like, could they at least do like a super hour of Raw, like for like the last hour or something, instead of just having all of this stuff in there? It's just it's so annoying. It's just like just desperate for any kind of good content, and they have so many good stars, and they just keep putting like it feels like it's like an 80s episode of Superstars. I had that written down. It was
Yeah.
just jobbers matched one after another. Um, and there's just like no storyline threaded throughout the show, like whatsoever.
Yeah.
And
Honestly, I would have much preferred um the New Day coming out to have a match and then there already be two dudes in the ring that are just from that town that are totally out of shape. That are, and we got John James and Ricky Fantastic as the opponents. Like no entrance music, just complete jobbers that the New Day
Hmm.
squashes. That would be hilarious, like an old
Or the New
school
Day
squash
could
match.
barely beat them. That's their thing, like regularly, and then they just last second cheat and just like barely get by.
Oh
Something like
man,
that too. But I mean, that was just another like bad segment. I felt like
it was.
there were so many of them.
The match
Like,
pairings are not good. Um, Recently, and especially on this Raw, I think it's kind of telling.
yeah, well, even with two, and like the next one that I'll jump to that I watched, and I watched this match, which was Gunther, completely opposite of what we saw last week. I felt at least there was no substance to his promo at all. It was just like a filler segment. And then I knew this is why I wasn't excited because I could see that he was going to be interacting with the Alpha Academy. So okay, he's having a match with Tozawa. And it was like okay for a second. There was like one like brief little like hope spot. But I mean, and Gunther can make this stuff work, but again, this is like 80s stuff.
Hmm.
And like the feud will work. It's working with Jay. Like I could get what they're doing. But like, did this really further the feud? Gunther comes out, picks on Tozawa, and then Jey Uso makes the save. It's just it's like I just wasn't like I don't know, wasn't super exciting.
Yeah, like I guess the question you have to ask is why would Jay care about this? You know, it, does he have a relationship with Tawazaka and the Alpha Academy? No. Like, why does Jay care? Um, I
I
guess the whole
get
point of it is getting like making Gunther a bully in this case. I don't know. I wasn't into this segment based on the fact that I'm not really into Alpha Academy at all. Or what is it not?
I was when they had Chad Gable in it, and they had like built up a super cool storyline between him and Otis that they just threw
Mhm.
out when they brought back the Wyatt Six. Which, by the way, where are they? I haven't seen a heard a peep of them. Are they done? Is that no longer a faction?
I think so. There
Eepers.
must be some weird behind the scenes stuff happening there where they're just the not working out. I don't
Who
know
could
why
have
you would just
predicted
cut that
that?
because it seems like the crowd was into it, the Wyatt Six stuff, and it was kind of
Well,
interesting. I watched some YouTube stuff early on, and then they disappeared.
maybe that's the thing, like with this modern wrestling stuff, and maybe they're just learning it, and that's fine, obviously, but like there's a difference between a participatory crowd-like experience and like watching something on like TV, you know?
Hmm.
And like you could think of really like anything. You could think of like a million different concerts that like you'd want to go to and stuff like that. But like, you know, like if I went to a Spice Girls concert or a Backstreet Boys concert, like we all remember all of their songs, right? I could go there, have a couple of drinks, get into it, be a part of the crowd. Like that would be fun. That's not like fun to watch that concert and all those people like from home. So like I think that they're relying too much on the audience's participation that somehow is exciting for the people at home. At least
Right.
from my perspective, it's the story at home and then the audience complements it. But here it's just like, well, the audience is going crazy for Jey Uso, so we'll just do this for 7 minutes. And it's just like I don't think I'm watching this for 7 minutes. So I don't know. It's that's not working for me. And then there was the Sammy video,
I think
which
it was
all
Tyra Valkyrie versus Dakota Kai,
oh, I
which I
skipped
I,
that.
I skipped that match.
Yeah,
And then yeah, the Sammy interview.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you can tell me what you think first. Go for it on Sammy. Did you watch it?
I watched it. I actually watched it like 5 minutes before we came on. Um,
Okay.
so overall, this story, I mean, like I don't, I think the story's been done too much for it to be interesting.
What story,
Um,
by the way? I'm just wondering
well,
because
okay, so that's my
there
other
isn't
note.
one.
At the same time, if they're going to do this, they started this 3 weeks ago or something. I mean, there's just nothing here, and it's already this unsanctioned match.
Something
How did we
doesn't
get
make
here
sense.
so quick? Why are we rushing this? Maybe Kevin's going on vacation and he's not going to be at WrestleMania, or vice versa. Sammy's going on vacation and he's not going to be at WrestleMania. Maybe there's something behind the scenes, but
Or
um,
Sammy's agreed to like get absolutely destroyed to put Kevin over further or something like that. I personally think this is kind of like a non-match that's going to lead to the return of Randy Orton and set up Randy versus Kevin at WrestleMania.
maybe. And then also this promo, like Sammy's trying to come off as I guess like he's trying I guess trying to do a character change or add some depth to his character where he is more violent than people think he is. And I'm just not really buying it. Um,
Or interested in it. Yeah.
yeah, fair enough. He cut this promo. The only way to really make this work is for Sammy, not for Kevin, but for Sammy to make this work is for him to actually be different in this match and actually be a bit of a psycho or something, um, to help that character arc along. Otherwise, like this
Oh,
is
yeah.
just a,
Like
a
beat, like
going
just destroy Owens and then like after the match, like break his neck.
like in a disgusting fashion that like people are just like mortified by.
That would be
Uh,
cool.
so that would that would help Sammy's character arc. That would kill Kevin Owens, but
True. Maybe there's
I
something
don't.
we don't know. Like maybe Sammy's having another kid or so. It just seems so weird with WrestleMania coming up that either one would miss it. I thought the line that it was just like it was such a ridiculous line to include. When you're it's something along this line, when you're friends with someone for that long, there's been a lot of forgiving and forgetting. And they went through like all their historical feuds of all the times that like Owens has turned on him. And then he's like, but this time there's no forgiving or forgetting. And I was just like, it's so ridiculous. What are you saying that you guys will never be friends again in the history of wrestling? You're both obsessed with it. Of course you'll forgive and forget. That's why this whole feud doesn't work in the first place because it's happened too many times.
Yeah, and then a year from now they're going to be tag champs, and then a year from then they're going to be feuding again. It's just they keep going back to the well, and they're going to go back here again and again. Um,
Yeah.
okay,
Okay. What did you watch Dom versus Braun?
yeah. And overall, like, why are they? Is Braun a heel? Why are they putting heel versus heel match out of nowhere on this show? I don't
I
understand
have
it.
no idea if he's a heel or not.
So this match was not compelling. Why is there no AJ in this match? So here's what I would have done. Braun would have lost to Dom tonight or last night, due to AJ Styles interference of some sort. And the reason I think that could have been interesting is because it could have led to a Judgment Day storyline too. If Dom wins and then Liv and Raquel win at the end, then the Judgment Day has a big night, and Finn didn't contribute to that big night at all. So maybe that helps create some tension within the Judgment Day, right? Like you have Dom getting some sort of win over Braun, and then you have Liv and Raquel getting a big tag title win as well, and Finn gets nothing. And the week before he lost to Seth. I mean, that's I don't know. Maybe there's something interesting there, and it helps further along the AJ Braun feud. Now, why on earth wasn't AJ involved in this somehow? I mean, he had a backstage segment with Logan Paul.
Yeah, I
What are they
saw
going to do
that.
there? What is this going to be? Braun versus AJ versus Logan at WrestleMania? Don't do that. Come on. Um,
It's super confusing. But just I want to push back on that what you're saying before we get too much into the match. An idea of like tension within the Judgment Day. I feel like they just did that with the Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley
right.
and the
Yeah.
turn and all of that stuff. And then now that JD McDonough is hurt as well, and Carlito is a new member, I feel like that little group of it was Liv and Carlito and Finn and Dom. I don't think that if they teased tension that that would do them any good. In fact, I think they need to be more united now than ever. I think that their best opportunity is probably some sort of tag team match at Mania, maybe for a belt. So many of them that they probably could. The weird thing is I agree with everything you said about Dom versus Braun, and it was a DQ ending, and it was still my favorite match of the night because I love Dom and I love Braun.
Hmm.
And I thought that the match was actually like pretty good in like the sense that yeah, like Braun is a heel, but like he's a dominant heel. So like it
Yeah.
made more sense for Dom to play like the chicken shit. I like the spot where Dom did the suicide dive. And then Cole again was like Dom was like out of it on the outside. He's like, Do you know where you are, Dom? On the outside. And he's like, Shut up. He's just like, I know where I'm at. Sokola was on fire for me. I loved it, but I had the same thoughts as you as well. It was just like, is he a face now? And the Judgment Day gets DQ'd and assaults him. So I thought what was going to happen was then that AJ was going to come to his rescue, right? And I was just like that
Hmm.
somehow that would show that AJ that I'm like a better man or something, but that didn't happen. So I was just like, what's the point of this? All of a sudden
Yeah.
now, Braun. Last week he was in trying to start a feud with AJ. Now he's starting a feud with the Judgment Day. None of them are on the card at Elimination Chamber. So, like, does any of this matter? It was
Yeah. Or
very
they just
confusing.
throwing random seeds down, seeing what grows, I guess. And what was with like the Finn Braun stare down at the end? Like, what are they saying there that there's going to be a
I
match
don't know,
between
but
those two?
that's the last thing that I want to see. No, no, honestly, like I like Finn and he could be repackaged again, and like I don't mind when he's in a big feud and he had his match with Edge at Mania and all that stuff, but like I do not want to see him versus Braun at Mania. This is what I mean, man. Like, why is Triple H doing this? Like, and maybe it's all just a swerve, but like, I swear to God, he's not putting a superstar versus superstar. He keeps taking the people are interested in, and he's pairing them with somebody else. And be like, oh, we'll elevate this talent. We'll elevate this talent. We don't need to see Braun versus AJ. We can see Braun versus Finn. Well, no one wants to see Braun versus Finn.
Yeah.
You know, and so like it's the whole like I like it way better than under Vince. Believe me, I don't want to go back to 10 years ago where WWE was unbearable under Vince. But like this is getting to be some super confusing booking and like no storylines, and it feels, dare I say it again, it feels AEW-ish. It feels like amateur booking. Like I don't understand, but they just it's and it's just, have never booked anything, so who am I to criticize professional bookers, right? But it just seems to me that like they're so reliant on their star power. We talked about this a bit last week, like a single star is all that is required per show. And the storylines are kind of like a back seat to that because Seth will just come out and dance for 15 minutes and everyone's going to go crazy. But like, there must be other people out there that are like me that are just being like, I don't understand what these stories are. I don't understand who's involved in what story and why. It's just like a lot of super boring stuff that just has different people showing up in different places every week.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, honestly. I and I'm super disappointed if they do nothing with the AJ Braun thing. I feel like they did drop the ball on it. I hope they pick it back up after Elimination Chamber. Um,
Or even
yeah,
at like, I mean, it's 4 hour show. Like they could find room for a segment in there if they can figure it out.
no, they'll give
Um,
us Alpha Academy instead.
so yeah, probably that's right. What did you think of Cody? I personally, before you answer that question, I was happy to see Cody because he's a star, and this show was missing stars. But like similarly to what we've talked about with this whole show, why is he there? There's still a SmackDown before Elimination Chamber. So like Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest were on Raw, but now they don't come to Raw because they're on SmackDown. So like I'm just super confused again. I'm just like, what is he doing here? Like, what are the stories? Like, what are the rules of the story? It's just a complete free for
I
all.
don't get it either. I guess like maybe the champion can travel cross show. I
I don't think
guess
so.
maybe
That was a
maybe
rule
that's
in 2002.
yeah. Honestly, who knows? There are no real rules that they follow. They just kind of pick and choose and are doing whatever, which isn't leading to a consistent product and probably creates confusion. So I was also happy to see Cody. I think the fans love him. He's super an interesting, compelling character to watch. Um, and then you have him start to talk about the Rock offer and
I like
Seth
that.
Seth come out.
I
I
think
mean,
I
I
think it I think it enhanced the Rock thing more because I thought he was gonna like I knew he wasn't gonna make a decision, but like I kind of felt like maybe he was, or he's gonna say something about it and gonna lean in a direction. And I was like really into that promo. I was like really into what he was saying. And he was just like, explaining what the offer was that The Rock had given him, why someone like him might consider it. And I liked it.
what'd you think about Seth coming out?
I hated it for a couple of reasons. One is just like, and I really do hate to keep beating the same drum of this consistency here. But like Cody came to Raw, which is abnormal for him to do. And he came out with this like stated purpose of addressing like what was going on with The Rock. And then, oh well, because Seth interrupted him, then I no longer have to worry about that at all. So I just came to Raw for nothing. Because he never got back to what he was talking about. So what was the whole point in coming in the first place? And then when Seth left, why didn't you finish what you were gonna say? So you see, like it's not, it doesn't make any sense. They're like, oh, Cody Rhodes is here tonight for X silly reason that we made up. Um, his good friend is in the female intercontinental and he's here to encourage her, and then whatever. Like it just didn't make any sense. Seth just looks ridiculous. Like it's just getting worse and worse and worse. I don't understand why they're letting him dress like this. I wasn't
Michael
expect.
Cole's funny comment: is he wearing a range jacket?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Call again with the trifecta. And for once, I actually wanted to hear Cody talk because like sometimes I like his segments on SmackDown and I'm not interested in them. I wanted to hear what he had to say here as it relates to The Rock, and then he's just interrupted by Seth, and then it becomes all about the Seth show. I guess like, I was confused why Cody didn't finish his promo. I don't think Seth forwarded that or furthered that story at all. He just interrupted and kind of like rambled. And now we have to wait till the Elimination Chamber to hear what Cody's going to say. Like who would watch SmackDown on Friday? Like for what purpose? What are you going to see there? Like nothing.
I don't know what they have advertised for SmackDown on Friday. But I guess that's the go home episode for before Elimination Chamber or the yeah. So it
So it was okay again because Cody's a star. But like I wrote this down because like this is I think sums up how I've been feeling generally speaking, which is really since we started doing the podcast. Normally I'm a lot more positive, especially heading into WrestleMania season. But like all these moving pieces, it creates a lot of intrigue, but it also is getting a bit confusing. And that's making me less excited. So like Seth versus Cody, Punk versus Logan, Seth versus Roman, Cody versus Rock, Drew versus Cody, Rock versus Roman. It's too much to follow. And like hopefully there'll be some clarity soon and some separation on these feuds, but it's all jumbled up and like I don't know if it's this new modern fan that just absorbs all content because they do the same thing in AEW. But like for a fan that's just like casually tuning in on like Netflix or turning into SmackDown or wants to see a pay-per-view, like I don't know what these stories are and I pay attention. So like I don't know how you can intrigue somebody else in if it's just like, well, last time I saw The Rock, him and Cody were friends. Oh, he must have gone bad. Oh, but now he's doing it's overcomplicated. It's overbooking, I think, to a certain it's overbooking and underbooking simultaneously. Way too many possibilities but none of them ever happened.
Is this just a symptom of the shorter paid live event schedule and like the forced nature of Elimination Chamber before Cody even has a feud for WrestleMania? I
We'll
mean,
see.
I
And
like
the first show after like Raw after Elimination Chamber should be really telling, and like we'll be here next week to review it, and you're gonna have your work cut out for you because you're gonna have to watch the men's chamber match and the Rock Cody segment as well. Our fans are expecting not just a Raw review, but both of those two timely um, pay-per-view reviews because I wasn't here for the Rumble, so this will be actually our first men's pay-per-view reviewed next
oh
week.
wow. How disappointing that it's Elimination Chamber, not something bigger. But oh well.
Yeah, yeah.
Um
Well,
and there was actually more to this Raw, but honestly, I pretty much skipped the rest of this episode. There was
I
the
did too.
Uso backstage.
I stopped after Cody. I was like, I can't finish this on a tag title match. I just can't do it. And I saw that Liv and
Raquel, I think.
Raquel
Yeah.
won, which is to your point of the big night for the Judgment Day or whatever, and that's great. And maybe now they'll put the men's tag titles on the other Judgment Day, and that'll be their thing going into WrestleMania. I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe get some interest in the tag titles. That could only help things along. And maybe
Rich
that's where
said
Finn needs to go.
men and women's tag titles per show, not to mention NXT.
Oh yeah.
So overall, to wrap up everything we've talked about, The Rock coming back and being at Elimination Chamber is making me want to watch Elimination Chamber more. I had a date with my wife that night, and it's at 7 o'clock. And when I made the reservation, I forgot about the Elimination Chamber, and I was like, shit. But then I was like, oh well, it doesn't matter because nothing good is going to happen anyway. So I'll just fast forward to the men's match and watch it at the end. Then The Rock was coming back. I was like, oh, that could open the show. It's like, well,
Yeah.
we have to make sure that I don't check my phone because I don't want any spoilers. So I'm excited that The Rock is possibly back in the fold. I hope that they do it the right way, and I'm excited for Elimination Chamber to be over. And I'm really hoping that next week's Raw is just on point, um, not just in terms of stars, but in terms of establishing feuds and really
Mhm.
heading into WrestleMania season. And not we'll see John Cena in 3 weeks from now type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if he's got to be more involved in the build for whatever he does at WrestleMania. He needs to be there because this whole build to Elimination Chamber, he hasn't been there. He just got a pass to go into it. Um, I mean, this is his last year competing too, and I don't know. It's
Allegedly.
yeah.
Do you remember my theory that he's going to wrestle at WrestleMania 2026 will be his last match? Because someone will hurt him in December and like cancel his last match and say, take it from the fans. Then he'll rehab and come back and settle the score in one final WrestleMania battle.
Oh, perhaps we'll see. We'll see what happens. We should write these predictions down and see how accurate we are over
My
time.
fans will do it for me. Let's mark it right here, Feb 25, 5:11 p.m. But overall, like I was saying, yeah, it's confusing. And honestly, for Raw, which we review every week, I thought Raw sucked. I think this was probably the worst Raw that I've watched since we started reviewing them.
Oh wow, even worse than the Netflix premiere. Well, I guess Netflix premiere had a good match.
Well,
Roman.
they had good it was the structure of the Netflix premiere where it
Yeah,
was like it made it seem like it was fake. That's why I hated it.
yeah, fair enough.
At
So
least here
overall,
they're keeping the consistency that wrestling is real.
yeah, overall, I agree. Terrible episode. Honestly, I'm giving it like a 1.5 out of 5.
1.5 sandbags.
1.5
Yeah,
sandbags out of 5.
what did we rate last week's? Two sandbags?
2.5, I think.
2.5. Yeah, I'm giving it a single sandbag. Like
Single
even the
sandbag.
stars that were on it, like Punk wasn't good, Seth wasn't good, Cody was okay, Gunther wasn't good. Like it sucked.
They didn't
It just
further along
did.
the Braun and AJ stuff. Sammy sit down wasn't great. Yeah, I not a lot to look forward to for Elimination Chamber other than The Rock
Yeah,
and Cody.
it's a start it 2 or 3 hours after it started and fast forward your way through, just like a regular Raw would be. But I am I'll double down. I'm really excited to see how the Toronto crowd reacts to The Rock, and I hope that they are still the same crowd that was like the crowd we were in 2002 at WrestleMania, and we don't just start chanting Rocky, Rocky. Like we got to hit him with some viral hate and make him be the final boss. No more chanting, no more sing-alongs with The Rock.
Yeah, just boo him out of the building. All
Dom
right.
like heat.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, see you guys. Have a good one.